Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, well, I enjoy making them and I'd like to send you more, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it. Plus, if you like this watch, it's for sale. You can buy this vintage Omega Flightmaster on our website, thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches 24 hours a day and globally on thewatchbox.com. And we are discussing the Omega Flightmaster 145.0026, part of a family that debuted in 1969, but this is the second rev of the dial that debuted in 1971. The main change from the original being the substitution of the 9 o'clock position 24-hour indicator for a constant seconds dial that adds a little bit more visual balance and also alleviates the dearth of life on the dial when the chronograph is not running. Other than that, the caliber number has changed from 910 to 911, but the fit, the feel, the look of this design has not changed. It is a robust 52.5 millimeters lug-to-lug and 43.5 millimeters from what would conventionally be 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, but rest assured, the crowns do extend it a little bit across the wrist. It's not a particularly thick watch by modern standards, though it looks like a heaping mountain. It's only 15 millimeters thick and with a generously sloped case flank. Don't laugh, this watch could actually fit underneath a dress cuff, but that's not really the style of the watch. In 1969, the Flightmaster was considered to be the state of the art in aviation technology for the wrist, a combination of a bidirectional rotating internal bezel for secondary timing, vivid hours, minutes, and seconds chronograph dial, and an independent second time zone that could be set using the color-coordinated crown at 10 o'clock, back when the Rolex GMT Master 2 forced you to do mental math with a bezel. This thing was the bomb. Now, in terms of the feel on the wrist, it remains solid because it was huge back in its day. It actually has the modern wrist presence to trade blows with a modern Panerai Luminor or Royal Oak Offshore. So, in some ways, this watch was so far ahead of its time that it finally looks correctly proportioned for modern tastes. And in the year 2018, this is now considered to be a full-blown vintage classic. And appropriately enough, the example we have here features all of the original color inset Omega factory crowns, including the original crown with the vintage-style Omega logo, and a period Omega bracelet, completely intact, 3-link design. This one is known as the Omega bracelet reference 1162, and I'll verify this if I can show you the stamp, but this is known as the 1162 with 172 end links. You can see that right inside the clasp because the interior of this clasp is as sharp as the rest of the watch. It's a 3-link design that actually looks a lot like a Rolex President, and it's comparably comfortable. It's in excellent condition, and it is perhaps the best option to wear this watch for the full vintage vibe, but if you wish to swap out for perhaps a period extensible bracelet or even a strap, the spacing is a surprisingly modern 22 millimeters. This watch was made in the era of skinny straps. Not so, though, the Flightmaster. You'll note that the case is in good condition, but not perfect condition. There's a small indentation at roughly 5 o'clock on the case, and you'll note there's a little bit on the case flank as well. Let me try to get super close and give you a bit more aperture so you have full light. But you can see that the case is effectively unrefinished. It features the same sunburst lug hood and bezel motif with which it left the factory. You'll also note that there are some scratches and scuffs, particularly at 12 o'clock on the bezel, 9 o'clock on the bezel, 6 o'clock, and about 3:30. Full disclosure, I always want you to know exactly what you're getting. That said, you can see that the character lines as well as the grained finish have survived in heroic and miraculous fashion, as this watch could plausibly be called unrefinished, as there has been no attempt to rectify any of the marks, nor has any definition or metal volume been lost in the process. Now, I mentioned that all of the crowns are color-coded to give you a sense of what functions you're operating. Some people get intimidated by this watch. I say, don't sweat. This watch is an absolute breeze to use, and it starts with minding your colors. The blue crown allows you to manipulate the 24 or the second time zone hand. It's not a 24-hour hand, it's a 12-hour hand, but unlike the GMT Master 1675 of the period, you can set it absolutely independent of the local hour. You'll also note that there is an internal rotating bezel, so you can quickly line that up, for example, with the time of day, civil time minutes. And now you have an impromptu 0 to 60 minute timer that can operate concurrently with the chronograph itself with no danger of displacement. Of course, the chronograph operated using the color-keyed buttons on the 3 o'clock side of the dial. And though this is a cam chronograph, the tolerances as well as the functional condition are outstanding. You may be wondering about the dial. Is it original? Absolutely. All tritium. I've blacked this one out. It doesn't glow a lick. You'll also note the fascinating racing style minutes track and seconds track outboard of the hour track. The watch contains a number of period Omega tropes that I absolutely adore. The colors, the printing, the condition all remain vivid, crisp, and factory. It's a handsome, easy-to-use survivor from a period when the Swiss watch industry, the classical Swiss watch industry pre-quartz crisis, was really peaking on its last legs before the humbling of the quartz era. And this watch is redolent of 60s optimism and 70s avant-garde design in equal measure. You'll even note that on the case back, you can still see the original engraved, let me turn this over, you can see the original engraved Douglas DC-8 with the Flightmaster nomenclature, and you'll note the vintage Omega logo. The watch, as originally constructed, was highly resistant, with 60-meter water resistant, a unique sealing system for the mineral crystal. It is mineral, neither plexiglass nor sapphire. While highly water resistant in its day, I do not recommend risking the like today. This one is best suited for circumstances high and dry in the modern era. Now, underneath that caseback is Omega caliber 911, which was essentially the 861 from the Moonwatch, with the second time zone added. And it's still a manual wind, 48-hour power reserve, 21,600 vibration per hour, cam and lateral clutch chronograph. Wonderfully tough and highly serviceable even today. It was considered to be a little bit of an exotic created by Albert Piguet back in the day because it was such a modification of what began life as the old school Lemania 2310 Abauche with a column wheel and an 18,000 vibration per hour beat rate. But this watch is a true everyday vintage companion. Rugged enough to wear every day, though I wouldn't swim with it. This is a vintage watch you can actually enjoy without fearing that you need to baby it. Just do me one favor. Don't ever refinish it. Leave it factory. As they say, you can refinish, you can restore as many times as you like, but it's only factory once. It's true of cars and it's true of watches. See this one and make it yours on our website. And I am back with the Omega Flightmaster. As you can see, though I shocked it with light, the original tritium dial is quickly fading to black, though the watch does feature newer service hands with Luminova, and you can see that distinct pop of Luminova contrasts sharply with the faded tritium of the dial. You can see this one and you can make it yours on our website.